All right. Let's talk about some of these top 5 rookies, defensive only, because the D deserves some love. Let's start with Ivan Pace, undrafted rookie free agent out of Cincinnati, plays for the Vikings. He's played a lot. We talked about him in the preseason because he flashed early, and they asked him to do a little bit of everything. Undersized was the concern, and you've made your thoughts known that the undersized off-ball linebacker is the reason why you don't get drafted high typically. But I feel like they're getting their money's worth out of Ivan Pace. He will occasionally run around blocks and get run out of plays, but sometimes he'll beat the interior offensive lineman to the gap, and he's tackling whoever's there. And he's a high motor guy. They use him a lot in coverage. He does line up at off ball, but they'll line him up outside as well, 9-tech or whatever, to be a pain there. Had an interception on a great little catch on a slant. I don't know what the quarterback was looking at. I think Aiden O'Connell was the one who threw it. Thought it was going to be a second window slant throw. Either way, great catch by what Ivan Pace did there. What are your thoughts on what he's done over the first 14 weeks?
Yeah, and this kid wasn't even drafted, so great signing as a college free agent. And right now, he's trending towards a year or two. If he continues, this will be a Pro Bowl level player um, because he's very instinctive. He does hop around blocks, but he's athletic enough to get back in position to make the play. He's a tackling machine. Made a lot of tackles outside, close into the bubble screens and those short, quick screens. Had the sack on the Hail Mary before the half, where he kind of sat in coverage, and as O'Connell stepped up, he went up and sacked him. And then the interception, which was a great job reading the quarterback's eyes. I don't think O'Connell, I don't know if he didn't see him there or not, but I got to give the kid credit for making the break, having the awareness of the slant coming to him, and coming up with a play that ended the day very
Oh boy,
entertaining game to get
I
the
think
Vikings.
the under hit. It's
Yeah,
3-0.
3-0 hit.
uh, Here, we'll do this in real time since I was traveling today. Let's grade the players, then we'll come up with our aggregated top 5 defensive only list, and that way you have to participate.
Okay.
What do you want to give Ivan? You go first.
Do I got to give a number or a grade?
Let's do 1 out of 10. 10's the best one, so then we can add them up, make it a little easier.
8.
I like that. I'm going to give him 8.1 just because I know you hate decimals too. All right, next up. Man, I am so glad we can talk about this guy. I'm going to let you go first because I don't want to taint your thought process with my flowery words.
Okay, just time out.
Yeah.
There has never been an occasion in the 100 whatever shows we've
5.
done, 105 shows, that you ever tainted my opinion on. Just so we're just clear on that. I have my opinion, and by no way, shape, or form will I ever be swayed on what my opinion is. Now, maybe hard-headed, but
I'm laughing because
I understand that you are the quarterback of this podcast and you're the expert,
oh boy.
but I will not be swayed, in my opinion, if I'm doing the tape work, to tell you what I feel about them. Just so you know that.
I wish you'd said that a few minutes from now, so it would perfectly segue to the mystery guest. So just hold that thought. But all right, then I'll go on Tyree because we talked about him at the halfway point when we did the rookie grades, and it was hard to watch. He had the foot injury back in November 2022, and you said that shouldn't be a factor. It just looked like he was playing. The game was too fast for him at the time. He looked like he was getting overpowered. We saw flashes of little Texas Tech in this game. He was driving guys into the backfield. Guys were struggling to anchor against him, and it was fun to watch. I think the very first play is when he had that sack. Okay, there's something there, something we can work with. And I think, again, we talked about this with Tommy DeVito, but confidence is a huge thing no matter who you are and where you are in your journey, no matter how good of an athlete you are. And I think Tyrese feels like he's turning the corner.
Confidence and playing without having to think.
Yeah.
So I think the confidence comes because his foot feels normal again. And he's not playing by the numbers. He's actually letting it loose, pinning his ears back, especially in the pass rush stuff. Couple of times they put him inside over the guard, and he was a mismatch on the backup guards that were playing for Minnesota.
Yeah.
But you can see the first step quickness. You can see the powers. He's still raw with counter move stuff, yes, but he is a humming now. And when we talked about him earlier, when we did our rookie review, I considered him a bust the way he was playing. But he has really looked like he's starting to turn a corner and playing without thinking. Now, he still has a ways to go in the run game, in my opinion. His pad level gets too high. He's not consistent getting off blocks, but he's got such a long body that he falls into some tackles. He needs to get better there. But as a pass rusher, he's starting to flash, not only coming off the edge, but as an inside pass rusher.
Yeah, and he put a little move on Christian Darrisaw. He beat him inside through the B gap on one little move, which was nice. Good to see. So, what's your grade? I already wrote my
8.
grade down.
Oh, wait.
1 to 10.
6.
Oh, okay. I gave him a 7. All right, good. I was happy with the progress. All right, next up, another guy that we talked about in the fall, Clark Phillips out of Utah, nickelback / outside. He played outside in this game for the Falcons against Tampa Bay. But the concern with him was size, and I don't think he ran particularly well. I have to go back and check.
4.51 at the combine. I went and looked it up.
Oh, good. 4.51. Thank you. But again, had 6 targets, 2 passes defended. Of all the rookie defensive backs in Week 14, he had one of the lowest passer ratings against at 39.6, which is really good. And he stayed in phase in the routes in which he was targeted. Now, there were some bad throws from Baker Mayfield, but I like the idea of finding a hidden gem. I think he was a day 3 guy, I believe, early day 3. And having someone to pair opposite A.J. Terrell because they need some help in the secondary. And this feels like one of those things where you're like, okay, we're going to draft him, see what happens. And it feels like he's making progress in the right direction.
If we had a producer that was or director, whatever Debo is.
He's a producer.
Okay. I don't know the difference between the 2 jobs.
But you're going to tell him how to do his job. Go ahead.
I wouldn't do that to Debo because I got to be nice to him as well. But if I were producing, directing, or whatever Debo does behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz he is, I would have actually said that, if I recall, Ivan Pace was on our Just Good Football Player list, and I believe this kid was on our Just Good Football Player list. But we do all that hard work, and then it just gets thrown out with the rest of the trash.
Look, Debo was putting together a graphic of you getting mayonnaise dumped on your head. He can't do everything.
Yeah. That's way more important than, hey, you guys really identified these guys as good football players, even though they were too small or didn't run fast enough.
Ivan Pace was not on Just Good Football Players.
However, you made him mad, Rick.
Come on.
However, when we did the top 5 linebackers last year, he was Rick's favorite sleeper.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
I thought he didn't like him because he was little. Okay, you got that one under the radar. So, 4th round pick for Clark Phillips. You talked about the 4.51, 5'9", 183. So, pretty small. But anyway, didn't play small.
No, and he played fast. He plays faster than that. I mean, he came hauling like a wild banshee.
Close enough. I think I'm going to go with the Jesse one. What's the Jesse one?
Oh, a Gorin Jesse?
Yeah, I thought that was what you're going to use.
Yeah. Went on a reverse, and he came hauling across on that motion when they ended reverse and made a nice play. Stayed in stride down the field and had the PBU with him and Godwin in a foot race. The most impressive play to me in this was they were in some kind of 3 deep scheme, and Baker tried to hit a seam. He was on the outside and read the quarterback's eyes and popped inside on that seam and had another great play, PBU, that prevented the game. The only negative I would say is that he's more than willing and he'll come up and hit you, but he's small and he has a tendency to nosedive and miss too many tackles. And he got buried in the depth chart because they have Hughes, they have Alford, they have a couple guys, and he got hurt in the Miami combined practices, this training camp, and then kind of got lost in the shuffle. He's only played 3 games this year, and he has really jumped off the tape in certain situations, and this was his best game to date, getting an opportunity. And they didn't play him over the neck. They played him a lot as an outside corner.
Which, again, goes back to things that we talk about because you're a little hesitant to put these little guys outside. But I don't know if it was by necessity or just good practice, but he plays bigger than 5'9" either way.
Yeah. And he's everything you saw on the college tape is showing up here. And the 4.51 and the weight and the speed and the height knocked him down to the 4th, because I bet you earlier in shows, I mean, he was considered one of the top 5 or 6 corners the way he played at Utah.
Yep, that's
Hey,
right.
so a little fun fact. Maybe Rick was misremembering a little bit. There's a lot going on in that brain of his, but Clark Phillips was his cornerback sleeper when we did the top
What?
5 corners. So I think he was thinking about his sleeper picks versus just good
You
football
got both
players.
those guys? Dang it. You're pretty good at this.
You had Corey Trice, who was looking good, and then had the season-ending
Who cares?
injury for the
In
Steelers.
training camp, Debo. Come on. That's
Day
terrible.
2. It was like very early.
Yeah. But he was good on that first day, though, Rick. Just know that. All right. I wrote down my grade for
I
Clark
was
Phillips.
pretty good with my sleepers in.
You did great. It's almost like you did this for a living or something.
This next guy is not my sleeper.
All right. Listen, but you got to give me a grade on Clark. I wrote mine down already. What's your grade on Clark Phillips?
B.
1 out of 10.
Oh, 7.
Okay. I give him a 6.5. I will not do whole numbers, just so you know. All
I'm
fractions.
doing whole numbers and whole letters.
Next up, Mr. Kobe Turner out of Wake Forest. Before we get going here, Debo has a special message for you.
Hey, Rick, what happened with Kobe Turner? Thought he had short arms, was a short guy, wasn't going to be able to make plays at the next level? See, that's the problem. You guys want to put everybody in the measurable category, right? What about heart, right? What about production? Same thing happened to me. Wanted to put me in the category. You guys let me go. 10 years later, we're still in the NFL, man. As my guy Pete Prisco would say, learn the game.
He hit you with a learn the game. If you're listening or
That
you're
was
watching,
awesome.
that's our colleague, Lige Douzable, who played 10 years in the NFL. He's a defensive lineman. I think Rick was the first general manager to cut him as an undrafted free agent. And he's like the greatest guy in the world. But he also uses that as motivation. And we had him on in the pre-draft process. He was talking up Kobe Turner. And as you noted, Rick, you were not a huge Kobe Turner fan. He's twitchy. Do you remember what you didn't like about him at the time? I'm trying to remember.
It all started when I can't even remember.
Chris Trapasso came on and put him in the first round pick.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where all of a sudden I just soured, and I will say this: I do recognize his pass rush ability, although a lot of he didn't have any sacks this game.
Look, man, he was moving though.
But he did disrupt the quarterback. A lot of his pressures were effort plays outside the pocket. When Lamar got outside the pocket, there were a few that he got pressure on the inside. Him and Linderbaum went at it. I thought that was a really fun matchup to watch on tape. Linderbaum actually pulled him to the ground, which should have been a holding call and wasn't called. The run game, I think he still struggles versus the run. I don't think he can hang in there versus the big boys when they come off the ball. But he's flashed just like he flashed at Wake Forest as an inline pass rusher. Where'd he go? 4th, 5th round?
Yeah. He may have been late day 2. I'll double check. He went higher. We were laughing when it happened because you were giving him such a hard time up to that point.
Yeah. Well, between him and the Eastern Michigan kid.
Yeah, the Eastern Michigan kid, I think Mr. Ramirez.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of either of those. And this kid plays hard. And so another guy that's overcoming the measurables. Now, we're talking about 14-game snapshot, which he's flashed. But let's talk 3 years from now because I'm going to go on. I'll be in my new office starting my next show, and I will be doing a video to send back to Mr. Doozable.
So 89th overall pick, Kobe Turner was 3rd round. And at the time, we were giggling about it because you had given him such a hard time throughout the process. Not him as a person, just the conversations we'd had in general. But the fact that he's listed at 6'2", around 290, and plays inside mostly, he was getting Lamar off the spot. And not just getting off the spot, Lamar had to move a little bit to avoid getting hit, even as he got close to the sidelines, which was impressive to me.
Yeah, no, and kudos to the Rams because him and Puka, both are guys that were not high on a lot of people's lists, not high on my list, let's be honest. And now you call him Puka Spielman.
Puka Spielman, love it.
Yeah, buying in, but both these guys exceeded expectations.
And in your defense, you like Steve Avila, their 2nd round pick, who's starting in a guard, and you like Bryce Young, the Tennessee Bryce Young,
yes,
older edge rusher, who's had a great. I mean, we're gonna Debo and you and I were talking about this before the podcast. We're gonna do a grading each team's first rookie class at the end of the season. Without looking, the Rams are going to be up there pretty high. because they crushed it.
Yeah, and they're winning, and they're doing it with the rookies they drafted.
All right, the big question: what are you giving Mr. Kobe Turner?
C.
You got to give him a number.
5.
Are you serious?
5.
I gave him a 7.6.
All right.
One of those points goes to Lige for his comments. He should get a 10 for the way Lige. I sent Lige a message. I called him and said, "Hey, will you do this?" And without hesitation, he said yes. And I thought he would just hold his.
With him this past weekend.
Right. That's why I didn't want to tell you. He was saying when I talked to him yesterday, he said he was, watching the games with you, and the Lions game had you not in a great mood with the way they were playing. But I thought that Lige would just hold the phone up while he was walking down the street. He went to his office. He turned the lights on. He got his collar shirt on. Got his hair done right. He wanted to make sure you knew what was up. So thank you, Lige, for that. That was fantastic.
Thank you, Lige.
All right, one more guy to get to. This is another guy that we've talked about previously on the show because he is playing so well. We've talked about his background, how he lost his sister, and how he suffered the ACL injury, how his final year at Clemson on the field wasn't as productive as perhaps he wanted it to be. But all those things have changed in terms of what he's doing on the field. Bryan Bresee, number 90. Lines up a 3-tech. He can line up outside, over the center. Doesn't matter. Another twitched up young man. He wins consistently for, I think, where he is at in his journey. And he is a disruptor. What do you say? More disruptive than productive? Is that what you say?
He's very disruptive, yes.
I feel like he has a chance to be both when it's all said and done, but he's a problem already, I feel like.
Yeah. No, he was that poor number 66, Nash Jensen.
Nash Jensen, I had to look him up too. Sorry, Nash, to call you out.
Yeah, North Dakota State college free agent last year, rookie, had his hands full. I think I charted 8 quarterback pressures and hits, no sacks, but Bryce Young was getting killed, and hence the toughness of Bryce Young. But everything from a pass rush standpoint, you seen that we probably saw if you went back and looked at tape 2 years ago before the knee injury and then the adversity he had to go through. So there was no question about this kid's ability. It was just if he's going to turn the switch on, and he definitely has down there. The only criticism I would give him is that his pad level gets high. He tries to look for the ball in the run game, and then he'll get thrown out of the bar a couple of times from that standpoint.
Right.
But other than that, the pass rush stuff, he is quick, he is slippery, he is big. And hopefully Nash Jensen will get over the nightmares he's probably continuing to have going against Bryan Bresee in this game.
And that's the other thing you realize when you just watch Bryce and you're like, okay, he's leaving the pocket too early. His feet are all over the place. And then you focus in on what he's going up against. You're like, oh, I get it. He's got Nash Jensen trying to protect him, and he understands that Bryan Bresee and Cam Jordan and all those guys can throw him through the turf if he's hanging out there trying to make plays. I get it. So it sort of helps give you the full picture of what Bryce Young has to deal with, and all quarterbacks do. All right, what are you giving Bryan Bresee on a scale of 1 to 10? Let me give you the direction ahead of time.
Do I have a spot right behind Ivan? He would be number 2 for me.
All right. You want to say 7? Well, you gave Clark Phillips a 7. You gave Ivan Pace an 8.
Gave Ivan Pace a 9 and give him an 8.
Okay. All right. Brian gets an 8. Ivan gets a 9. So to final tally, here's how they rank. Number 5, Kobe Turner. So disrespectful from Rick because of that low grade. Turner ranks 5 of the top 5 rookies. Number 4, Tyree Wilson. Great game from him. Number 3, Clark Phillips. Number 2, Bryan Bresee. And then number 1, Ivan Pace. Undrafted free agent. Big week for undrafted free agents of the rookies. Ivan Pace and Tommy DeVito lead the conversations for us here